Have you ever seen those beautiful old cars from your youth heading to a classic car rally and wished you could be part of it too? That familiar rumble of a vintage engine, the gleaming chrome, and those elegant lines that just aren't made anymore. Well, I've got great news for you. There's never been a better time to turn that dream into reality. Welcome, friends. Today we're talking about something close to many of our hearts, classic cars. Not just admiring them from afar, but actually owning and enjoying one yourself. And if you're thinking, isn't that just for wealthy collectors or mechanical experts? Let me tell you right now, that's simply not true. Retirement or semi-retirement brings with it something many of us haven't had in decades: time. Time to finally pursue those passions we've put on the back burner while raising families and building careers. And what better way to spend that time than bringing a piece of automotive history back to life? So why are classic cars particularly well suited for those of us with a bit more life experience? For starters, we actually remember these cars when they were new. We know what they represent, not just transportation, but freedom, style, and the craftsmanship of an era when things were built to last. There's something deeply satisfying about preserving that heritage. Plus, let's be honest, the conversations and connections that come with classic car ownership are priceless. Drive into any petrol station in a 1957 Morris Traveller or a vintage Jaguar, and suddenly everyone wants to chat. My dad had one just like that, they'll say. Or, I learned to drive in one of those. Classic cars aren't just vehicles, they're conversation starters and memory makers. Now, before we jump into the practical aspects, let's talk about what you'll need to get started on this rewarding journey. First and foremost, passion. Without a genuine love for these old beauties, the challenges won't seem worth it. But with passion, even the inevitable setbacks become part of the adventure. Speaking of challenges, let's address the mechanical aspect. While some mechanical knowledge is certainly helpful, it's not an absolute requirement. What matters more is your willingness to learn. These older vehicles are actually much simpler than modern cars. No computers, fewer electronics, and generally more straightforward systems. Many owners tell me they knew very little when they started, but learned as they went along. That said, having a knowledgeable friend or a reliable mechanic who specialises in classics can be invaluable. I've known many classic car owners who form partnerships. One might be better with engines, while another excels at bodywork or interiors. These collaboration opportunities create lasting friendships centred around a shared passion. Time is another essential ingredient. Classic cars aren't just for driving, they're for tinkering, improving, and sometimes just sitting beside with a cup of tea, admiring your handiwork. The beauty of this hobby is that it unfolds at whatever pace suits you. Some days might involve hours of careful restoration work. Other days might just be about polishing chrome while listening to your favourite oldies. One thing I want to emphasise, this doesn't have to break the bank. While certain rare models command astronomical prices, there are plenty of affordable classics out there. In fact, many enthusiasts start with what we call driver quality cars. Not perfect showpieces, but solid, running vehicles with personality and potential. Some of the most rewarding projects start with a car that needs a little love but has good bones. Would you like to know how to get started with owning your own classic car? Well, the journey begins not in a garage or showroom, but with some thoughtful consideration about what truly appeals to you. Is it the Bentleys or Jaguar E-Types of the 60s and 70s, the elegant Italian sports cars, or perhaps the utilitarian charm of vintage lorries and work vehicles? This initial exploration phase is crucial because it helps you focus your search and connect with the right community of enthusiasts. And community is a huge part of classic car ownership. The guidance, support, and camaraderie you'll find among fellow enthusiasts is truly something special. Now that we've covered the essential ingredients, passion, some mechanical knowledge or connections, and the time to devote to this rewarding hobby, let's talk about how to take those first practical steps toward finding the classic that's right for you. Your journey into the world of classic cars doesn't have to remain a dream. With the right approach, it can become one of the most enjoyable chapters of your life. The best first step into the classic car world isn't actually buying a car at all. It's immersing yourself in the community. Find a local classic car show or rally and spend a day simply walking around, admiring the vehicles, and most importantly, talking to their owners. You'll find most classic car enthusiasts are delighted to share their knowledge, experiences, and sometimes cautionary tales too. Listen for patterns in their conversations. Which models seem to have parts readily available? Which ones are notorious for specific problems? This reconnaissance work is not just informative, it's thoroughly enjoyable. There's something magical about hearing first-hand stories from people who have been where you're looking to go. When you attend these events, don't be shy about your novice status. In fact, many seasoned collectors find it refreshing to meet someone just starting out. It reminds them of their own beginnings and rekindles that initial excitement. You might be surprised how many will offer to mentor you, or at least exchange phone numbers for future advice. While you're exploring, start narrowing down which era or type of vehicle speaks to you most. Maybe it's the car your parents drove when you were growing up, or the one you couldn't afford in your younger days. Perhaps it's something completely different that just catches your eye. The important thing is that it resonates with you personally. After all, you'll be spending considerable time with this vehicle. It should bring you joy just looking at it. Now let's talk about research. Not the dry academic kind, but the fascinating journey of becoming knowledgeable about your potential purchase. The internet has made this easier than ever before. Forums dedicated to specific makes and models are gold mines of information. These online communities often have members who've documented entire restorations, complete with challenges faced and solutions found. Car clubs are another invaluable resource. Whether national organisations or local chapters, these groups usually welcome prospective owners. Many host technical seminars, garage tours, or workshop days where you can get hands-on experience before making a commitment. Some even maintain libraries of repair manuals and technical documentation that would be difficult to find elsewhere. As you're researching, pay special attention to parts availability. Some classics, particularly popular British models from the 50s through the 70s, have excellent aftermarket support with reproduction parts readily available. Others, especially rare or foreign models, might require more hunting, higher costs, or even custom fabrication when something needs replacing. Speaking of costs, let's have an honest conversation about budgeting for your classic car adventure. The purchase price is just the beginning. Restoration costs, if needed, can quickly add up. Even a vehicle in good condition will require ongoing maintenance. The good news is that classic car ownership can be entered at almost any budget level. For those starting out, consider what we in the hobby sometimes call entry-level classics. These are models that offer the vintage experience without the premium price tag. In the 60s, the Austin Morris 1100, the Ford Cortina, and the Vauxhall Viva were among the most popular models on the streets of Britain. During the 70s, the Ford Escort, the Morris Marina, the Mini, and the Austin Allegro. These less iconic but equally charming vehicles deliver plenty of enjoyment while being more affordable both to purchase and insure. Storage is another consideration that's particularly important as we get older. Do you have garage space, or will you need to rent it? Some enthusiasts in colder climates use their classics seasonally, storing them properly during winter months. This approach not only preserves the vehicle, but also creates a delightful ritual of waking up the car each spring. Tools and workspace requirements vary depending on how much of the maintenance and restoration you plan to do yourself. You might start with just basic hand tools and gradually build your collection as needed. Remember, there's no rule saying you must do everything yourself. Many owners handle routine maintenance, but leave major work to professionals. Classic car insurance in the UK for 1960s and 70s. Cars can vary, but it's often cheaper than standard car insurance because classic cars are usually driven less, well maintained and stored securely. Factors influencing the price include the car's value, the driver's age and experience, mileage, storage location, and whether the car is part of a club. Now, about selecting your first classic car, condition should be a primary consideration. For beginners especially, I recommend finding the best condition vehicle you can afford rather than taking on a major project right away. A car that's running and driving, even if it needs cosmetic work, lets you enjoy the classic experience while you learn and make improvements gradually. When inspecting potential purchases, bring along someone knowledgeable, if possible. Look for the usual suspects like rust, especially in hidden areas like floor depressions and boot recesses, signs of previous accidents, and the overall mechanical condition. Don't be put off by surface-level imperfections. They're part of the character and give you something to improve upon. Documentation adds both value and peace of mind to any classic car purchase. Service records, original manuals, build sheets, and ownership history all help tell the story of the vehicle and can alert you to potential issues. A well-documented car is almost always a better investment than one with mysterious origins. One approach that's worked well for many first-time buyers is to focus on drivability rather than perfect authenticity. A tastefully modified classic with upgraded brakes, a more reliable cooling system, or modern power steering can deliver much more enjoyment than a purely original vehicle that's challenging to drive. You can always return it to stock specifications later if originality becomes important to you. The journey of classic car ownership is as much about the people as it is about the vehicles. Once you've found your perfect classic, you'll discover that you've also gained entry into a wonderful social circle. Car clubs organise drives, meetups and rallies that provide regular opportunities to enjoy your classic in the company of like-minded enthusiasts. These events often become highlights of the social calendar, taking you along scenic routes and to charming destinations you might otherwise never have explored. For many of us in our 60s and beyond, these social connections are incredibly valuable. I've seen lasting friendships form over shared advice on carburetor adjustments or tips for finding that elusive trim piece. There's something about facing similar challenges and celebrating similar victories that creates a unique bond. And unlike some hobbies that can be solitary, classic car enthusiasm is inherently social. These cars were made to be seen and admired after all. Your family might get involved too, perhaps in unexpected ways. I know grandparents who have found that their vintage vehicles create a special connection with grandchildren. In our digital age, there's something remarkable about showing a young person how mechanical things actually work. No computers, no black boxes, just visible cause and effect. Many report that restoration projects have become meaningful multi-generational activities, passing down not just mechanical skills, but values like patience, craftsmanship, and appreciation for history. Speaking of history, owning a classic car puts you in the position of being a caretaker of automotive heritage. Each time you take your vintage beauty out for a drive, you're giving younger generations a glimpse of design and engineering from another era. You become, in essence, a rolling museum curator, preserving not just metal and chrome, but the stories and craftsmanship of past generations. Now, I promised we'd talk about the driving experience. There's simply nothing like piloting a classic car along a country road on a beautiful day, sinking into the leather seats and scanning the walnut dash. Never mind modern cars, scents like new car smell. I prefer the old car smell. Modern vehicles insulate you from the driving experience with layers of technology. But classics engage all your senses. You hear the engine's unique voice, feel every nuance of the road through the steering wheel, and experience driving as the involving activity it was meant to be. For those of us who remember these cars when they were new, there's an added layer of nostalgia, a visceral connection to our younger selves. But even if you're discovering classics for the first time, there's a distinct pleasure in mastering the quirks and characteristics of these older machines. They each have personalities that reveal themselves over time, rewarding your attention and care with an increasingly refined driving experience. The pace of classic car ownership also tends to align beautifully with this stage of life. These aren't vehicles that respond well to rushing. They encourage you to slow down, to take the scenic route, to enjoy the journey rather than focusing solely on the destination. In our hurried world, that's a valuable reminder that sometimes applies beyond just driving. I should address the practical matter of physical limitations that some of us might face as we age. The beauty of the classic car community is its adaptability and creativity. I've seen everything from carefully chosen power steering retrofits to custom-mounted grab handles that preserve a car's appearance while making it more accessible. The key is to find the classic that works for you. Perhaps a saloon rather than a low-slung sports car, or an automatic rather than a manual transmission if shifting becomes challenging. Some enthusiasts even age together with their classics, making thoughtful modifications as needed to keep the relationship going. What matters is the enjoyment, not some arbitrary standard of originality. After all, these cars were built to be driven and enjoyed, not just admired from a distance. As we wrap up our conversation today, I want to emphasize that classic car ownership isn't about perfection. The joy is in the process, the gradual improvements, the solved problems, the growing connection between car and caretaker. Some of the most treasured classics I've seen still have imperfections, wear their history proudly and are all the more charming for it. If you take away just one thing from our time together, let it be this. It's never too late to pursue this passion. I've known people who bought their first classic well into their 70s and had many wonderful years of enjoyment ahead. The classic car community welcomes enthusiasts of all experience levels and ages. What matters is your interest and enthusiasm, not your technical expertise or budget. So I encourage you, visit that next local car show. Strike up conversations with owners, join online forums and local clubs. Subscribe to magazines like Classic Cars Magazine, Classic Car Weekly, or Practical Classics. Take that first step, and before long, you might find yourself behind the wheel of a piece of automotive history, creating new memories while celebrating the past. I'd love to hear about your classic car dreams or experiences. What model holds a special place in your heart? Have you already taken steps toward classic car ownership? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like this video if you found it helpful. Subscribe to our channel and click the link below for more content about fulfilling hobbies and interests for our generation. Remember, the road of life has many wonderful turns, and some of the best ones might just be travelled in a classic car. Until next time, Happy motoring.